Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to the fourth and final special for Easter. My 4 days of Easter where it featured Spellbinders products to kick me off for joining Team Spell Bloggers. Now I'm really excited about this one. I've been looking forward to it. It's a long one, so sit back and relax. These are some of the items we're going to be using in this video. Everything I do use, it will be detailed on my blog only. There will be a full list of all the items that I've used from Spellbinders. There will also be links to take you through to the Spellbinders website so you can get more information, or if you want to purchase the products then you can do. So we're going to be using the Label 54, Botanical Bliss, and we are going to create Botanical Bliss for this card. So that's one of them. We're also going to be using the Botanical Bliss decorative element for Label 54. We're going to be making flowers and we're going to be using the Bitty Blossoms. This is the bit I'm dying to show you because I get asked about flowers all the time. So this is going to be ideal for anybody that's asked me over the last couple of months about flowers. So those are the flower dies. You get 6 in that packet that includes the leaves. There's 3 flowers, but we'll look at those more carefully shortly. And then we're going to be also using the special birthday sentiments. I'll be honest, there's another one we're going to be using as well, another die. I'll put that detail on my blog, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So those are the basis of the Spellbinders items that we're going to be using. And we're going to start off with our card base. Now, this is a 7x5" card. And for everybody that's watched any of my projects before, they know this is my favourite size. It's the best real estate for your card designs. It's not too big and it's not too small. This is my cardometer for anybody who's never watched before. It's something I've designed to show and give perspective to you at home of the size of card that we're going to be using. So an A4 is the largest size, A5, 7x5", A6, A7, ATC. So that gives you an idea, wherever you are in the world, you'll know about the size of the ATC, you'll know the size of a sheet of A4. I know in different countries the A5, A6 are different A numbers, but at least it gives it perspective. So that's our 7x5" card that I'm using. I'm also using an ivory card for this one. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to make sure I've got a nice sharp score along the edge, as I always do. This makes it look professional and it'll stand up nicely when it's on your windowsill or your mantelpiece. So the first thing that we're going to do is the inside, because again, we always like to make the inside just as pretty as the outside. So the first thing I've done is I've taken a piece of ivory cardstock / paper. I've used the matting and layering dies in size B. It's the largest of the die set, to cut the rectangle that would fit for the inside from Spellbinders. And then I've cut an aperture from Labels 54 for the inside, and I'm just going to simply attach this to the inside of my card, and I'm going to just add it so that I've got the aperture that we can add something special into that. So let's just peel away the tape. She says, always have trouble with my tape. Maybe should have prepped a little better for this one, Anne-Marie. Naughty. So we can add that to the centre of our card, like so. Trying to keep it straight. Next, I've used the decorative elements from Label 54, and I've die cut into Dovecraft Floral Muse paper, and this is the highly floral one, and I'm simply going to add a little bit of glue on the back of the die cut in the areas that are slightly larger that will hold the glue. So there's a few of them dotted about. If you've got a Xyron, you'll be able to run this through your Xyron machine. Now I'm simply going to slip this into the aperture that we've got in the centre of the card, like so. So that sits nicely and it sits flat, so it's not adding any extra bulk to the card. Then I've taken one of the birthday stamps and it says wishing you an amazing birthday, and from the centre of the die I've cut it in ivory cardstock. I've used spun sugar distress ink around the edge, and I'm simply going to peel the back of the tape away, and I'm going to pop this through the centre of our decorative label 54. So it all sits nice and flat in the centre of our card. And that's such a pretty insert. You've got enough room for a little message to and from. If you're wanting to write a letter, then obviously include your letter, because you won't have enough room for an essay on there. But there's enough for you to say, you know, who it's to and who it's from, etc. So now we can do the outside, and we can make the outside just as pretty as the inside, if not more. So I've just used my bone folder to make sure it's a nice sharp edge still. And the first layer I'm using, now these are papers again from Dovecraft, and it's the Floral Muse collection. I've cut a rectangle here using the matting and layering set of rectangle dies, and this is from set A for the first rectangle. I've got double-sided tape on the back of it already. Now you will notice I've got quite a lot of tape on the back of this. This is simply because the front of this is going to be very heavy with flowers and overlaid. If I leave a lot of gap where I haven't put tape, then the back might hang and pull away from the base of the card. So that's my first layer. Now my second layer again is from the Floral Muse collection. I've matted it onto a gold metallic, it's very pale gold metallic cardstock, and I've simply added double-sided tape on the back of it. The cardstock is from the Capsule collection, again Dovecraft, because it all just tones in with the Floral Muse. So I'm just simply adding that over our previous layer. All flat so far. Now I'm going to put this to one side for now, because I want to just skip ahead to show you how to make the flowers before we go any further. So we'll put that to one side, and I'm going to show you my flowers so that it gives you an idea. Now these are some that I've made earlier, and these are all using the Bitty Blossom dies. I've made them in a range of colours. I've used plain cream cardstock. I've used them with one lipstick die, distress ink, sorry. I've used them in plain pink cardstock, and then I've used them in the same Floral Muse cardstock. So I've got quite a range. I've also made some paper curls. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a paper curl. I've cut a piece of card, and it's very fine, and it'll roughly be 1/4 of an inch, or just under 1/2 centimetre. I judge it by, when I snip it, this is quite naughty, I judge it by double the width of the scissor that I'm using. If I can just see the edge of it, I know that it's fine enough. And all I do is take a pokey tool and I curl the paper around the pokey tool, or something long and thin. It doesn't have to be, it could be a kebab skewer, it could be a cocktail stick. Cocktail sticks may be a bit thin, but anything that's this shape. So I just keep going till I get to the top, and then there we go. And once I'm at the top, I hold it for a few seconds just so the fibres will take that shape, and then I'll let go and I'll simply curl that little bit that starts it over like that. And then as time goes on, it'll open up a little bit, but it'll hold its shape. Now these have been sat for a few days, so they've opened up, and I think they're just about perfect. But they will stay spiral on your cards. So those are the paper curls. The next thing are the flowers. So once you've die cut the dies in the kit, there's 3 different dies. There's the very large flower, and then there's 2 smaller ones. So you put them through your machine, and this is what you're left with. So you're going to remove the waste from the die like this, pull it away. I've not prepped this or anything, so what you're seeing is what will happen at home. So you pull it all the way around like that, discard that bit, you don't need it, and then from the other side use something like your poker tool to be able to loosen it from the start of the flower and then the centre, and then you'll be able to remove this from your die. There we go. So then you can put your die to one side and you're going to make your flower. So this is how I do it. Now you don't need one of these, but this is what I use. I use a quilling tool, and I simply slip the end of the quilling tool through the end of the flower, and then you start turning like so, and you follow the curve of the flower, and I press it every so often just to make sure it's still going in a round shape, because it does incline to go a little bit flat to an oval. But if you keep just squashing it in a little bit, don't forget it's only paper, so if you go wrong, just do it again. You know, that's half the fun of it. So you get to the end, remove your quilling tool, and you've got this little flap here. So as you've been holding it there, you can just mush it into shape. Mush is a technical word, just, you know, it's a cross between crush and mush. So you've got this little circle which is a base. Now I add glue to the back of it in there, and then I add glue to the base of it, and then you push the base over, let go of the top, and it starts to unwind a little bit. It finds its own size, and then you hold the flower just for a few seconds if you're using wet glue, just for it to start to stick. And then once it's stuck, so we'll pretend this is completely stuck, you can start pushing back your petals and opening the flower up, and you can push them as far back as they'll go, or you can leave them and have a closed flower. So I'm going to pop that one to dry. Now the second die is exactly the same principle. You peel away the waste after you've die cut it. It's a lot smaller as this one, and I think out of all of them this could be my favourite. I just kind of like the way the petals are. So you peel it out, take care not to split or rip your paper, but like we say, it is only paper, you can always do it again if you're not right. Now this one is a lot smaller, more delicate. Again, I'm going to use my quilling tool. If you don't have a quilling tool, all you have to do is, in fact I'll do it without for this one, just roll it round like so and roll it into the centre. Stop every so often just to make sure it's keeping its shape. You can adapt it when you get to the centre, so just roll and roll and roll. There we go, all the way around. It kind of makes its own shape as it gets closer to the centre, so you know, don't get hung up about it. It's not something to... So there we've got what the mushed up one, and we've got the little circle at the back. So I've not done anything special to it. Again, glue up its centre like that, little bit of glue on the base, and let it find its own sort of way, popping it on the base. Hold it down for a few seconds if you're using wet glue, and then you can pull your petals out if you want, or leave them nice and tight. It's up to you. And that's how to do it without the quilling tool. So you can still use them. There's no excuse. There we go. So we can pop that one to dry. So now you know how to make the flowers and you know how to make the paper curls. So we can go back to putting our card together. So we've already got the base layers on our card, and we're simply now going to build it up. I've used label 54 to die cut the largest of the labels for this embossed panel, and then once I've die cut it, I took it back through the machine in the embossing folder from Spellbinders called Horsehair, and it gives a gorgeous texture. I've put it on 3D foam, and I'm simply going to add it to the centre of our card like so. Now the layer above this is the decorative layer from labels 54, and it's in the ivory card again. I've taken it through the machine and then I've embossed it to get that final detail. And as you'll see, I've just put tape through the centre of it because I want the sides a little bit loose. I want a little bit of movement to them. Next, in the actual decorative labels, there's the rectangle centre. So I've cut that in the floral paper, and I'm going to add that through the centre of our labels. And then I'm going to finish it off where I've stamped Happy Birthday, and I'm going to add that. This is the section that I need to add the description on my blog for you. So that finishes off our centre of the card. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use silicone glue, and we're going to start adding our flowers. Now, in the actual pack of dies, there's also the dies for the leaves. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some leaves on the base of our card first. I've die cut them in both ivory and gold metallic cardstock. The dies are both in single leaves and in double leaves. So I'm simply just adding them all to the card, and I just want them in the two areas like so. Now I know I'm going quite quick for this, but I think it'll just add to building the layers up, going nice and quick, rather than sitting thinking about where I'm adding them. Because when I start to sit and think, that's when I might mess up. So there we go. We'll add a few more because it's all about adding the depth of the leaves and the amount of the leaves and the amount of the flowers. So let's add that one to that side there. And I think that's just about it for the leaves. Now we can start adding our flowers. And again, I'm just going to add them with a little bit of silicone glue. And I'm going to add them just randomly through the centres of the flowers. And I'm not giving it a great deal of thought where I'm putting them on, because I don't want it to look too, I don't know, regimental, even though I want them at both sides on the leaves, as it were. I'm not sort of thinking, oh, this one will go here and this one will go here. Just throw them on and see what happens. It's a bit like throwing it in the air and see what comes out. There we go. So you can add as many or as few as you like. Now obviously this card would need to be passed to somebody rather than posting it. Or if you are going to post it, you probably need to pop it in a box because of the depth that there is. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a couple of our paper curls before we add any more of our flowers. And I want to show you how to add these. So we've got a tail on them, like that we're just going to snip away part of it. And what I tend to do is I add a little bit of glue on the back, like that. And then I pop it in the position that I want it to be. And then I take a flower and add the glue on the back of the flower. And then pop the flower over the tail of the curl so that it's hidden underneath it. And because you're using a silicone glue, you can position your flowers because it doesn't dry straight away. So we'll do another curl and add this, add the glue to the back of it like that. There we go. And I'm going to pop that. I can pop that under that because it's still wet. There we go. That's another one of our curls. And I think if we can pop one at the top as well, that would be cool. So I'll just add a little more glue to that and pop that one there. And we'll have a flower over the top of that one. So it's just about building it up and not being scared to add different things to your cards, really, to be able to just do something a little bit different with the paper curls as an example, and then using them with the flowers and knowing to just cover the edges up and having a play, because that's what it's all about. And that just looks so pretty. And now to finish it off, what I've got is just a little satin ivory bow that I've added a centre diamante to, and I'm just going to pop it to one side of our labels and add it there. There we go. And that just finishes it off absolutely perfectly. Such a pretty card using the bitty blossoms and our decorative labels and our matting and layering, and just something bringing it all together, and the inside just as pretty as the outside for the person that's going to open it and receive it. It stands up nicely. Now I know I touched on postage, and normally on my projects I always talk about the postage. This, with it having the flowers on it, it's a little bit deeper than other projects that we've maybe done before in the past. So you will probably need to protect those and maybe send it in a box, something a little bit deeper, so it maybe would be a bit higher in the cost. However, I think I would just hand that to a person that's going to receive it. Such a pretty card. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget, all the details for the items that I've used will be on my blog, so please check it out. Let me know what you think. Give me the thumbs up. If you've enjoyed it, say so. Do you make flowers? Do you enjoy making them? I'd love to hear from you. Find me on Facebook. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.